Hi everyone, Lee from ESU here, and in this video we're going to show you the unboxing of our brand new CabControl system featuring the Mobile Control Pro Throttle. Stay tuned and we'll get it unboxed, we'll talk about the system and get it all set up. Alright, let's get the system out of the box. Can't run trains with it in the box, so we got to get it out of the box. Okay. First thing you'll see here is a QR code, and this QR code will link you to the full manual for the CabControl system. We do highly encourage you to read through the full manual, as it will answer a lot of your questions about how the system works, show you all the new features and functionality of the system. It's a great read, and there's a lot of neat things in there that the system will do. Alright, so now we have our variable voltage power supply. Get that out. 7 amp power supply. Power cord for the power supply. We have an ESU lanyard for the throttle. We highly encourage that you mount this on the throttle so that you can wear it around your neck, and then you don't have to worry about dropping your throttle during an operating session. All right, and then we have our USB-C charging cable for charging the throttle. We do recommend charging the throttle off of the main command station. It will make it a lot easier to charge and a lot safer. You can also, of course, use any USB-C cord or any cell phone charger if you wish. All right, we'll get the throttle out. The new Mobile Control Pro Throttle. We'll go through that momentarily. And our integrated control unit, or also known as the ESU. We'll go ahead and talk about that. So there's all the components of the system, and we'll show you more about them here next. All right, let's talk about the components of the system. So first thing we have is our 7 amp variable voltage power supply. The dial here on the back will allow you to change the voltage from about 14 volts all the way up to about 22 volts. It's going to come out of the box set for around 16 volts, which is what you'll need for N scale and HO scale. If you run in the larger scales, needs more voltage, just turn the dial upwards or clockwise, and then you will be able to add more voltage. We do not recommend going much lower than where it's currently set to, as the system itself does need to use some of the power. So set it to where you think is appropriate for your scale, but try not to go much lower than this. And then we have our new Mobile Control Pro Throttle. The throttle now runs on Android 10, and it's a little bit lighter weight than our previous Mobile Control 2 throttle, in that we have a plastic knob, and we also now have upgraded the buttons to be a rubber button system that's more tactile and easier to use. The battery life has also been lengthened to about 5 to 6 hours or so. It's a great new throttle. Also featuring our exclusive brake slider. So this actually acts like the brake handle in a locomotive and will gradually slow your locomotive down. We'll talk more about that later. All right, and then we have our integrated control unit, also known as the ESU. This is your command station and your power booster for the system all in one. We'll talk about some of the ports here on the back. So the first port you'll see here is the power port, and that's where your power supply will plug in. The two green connectors do come with the system. The first one here is the programming track connector, and the second one is for the main. And so if you have a track bus around your layout, this is where that will plug in. And if you have a separate programming track, that's where that would connect in. We do recommend having a separate program track. It makes it a lot easier, of course, to read CVs and change different settings directly on the system. Then we have our LNet port. This is for adding LocoNet devices and throttles and accessories. You would not be able to use LocoNet block occupancy detection directly with the system. That would still need to run through our LNet converter, which we sell separately. And then that plugs into our ECOS link. And the ECOS link is used for our boosters and our Railcom detectors, our ECOS detectors, which are for block occupancy if you want to run a full signal system or all kinds of interesting other things. So that's a neat connection there. And then of course there's only one on the box, so we have an extend port. And so what that does is allows you to extend out to our ECOS link terminal panels, which then provides you with 6 more ports for EcoSlink devices to plug into. And if that's not enough, you can then add another terminal and connect that to the first terminal with an Ethernet cable. And those all would connect together through Ethernet cables. You can have up to 100 meters of length and over 100 devices plugged onto the EcoSlink. We don't know of anybody that would exceed that, but if your layout is large enough, you might push those limits. And then we have our LAN port. This is for connecting the ICU to a computer and allowing you to run computer software. The computer software can then take the inputs of a block occupancy detector as well as our switch pilots and allow you to throw your switches and your signals and act as a dispatcher on your computer for your layout. It's a really neat connection there. And also we have the USB port. The USB port is for charging the throttle, as I mentioned earlier, or also for updating the ICU itself using a USB thumb drive. And that's pretty much the ports. So now we'll go ahead and get everything connected up. All right, so now we have our power cord here. Undo that. There we go. Go ahead and get that plugged in. And we'll get her plugged in here to the ICU itself. And that's going to boot up. And then I already have one of the green connectors here set up with the wires to the track. The green connectors are a screw terminal connector, and as you unscrew it, you'll see a plate fall, and you'll put your wire in and then screw the terminal back up, and the plate will grab the wire. And you can tug on it, make sure the wire doesn't come out so that you have a nice solid connection. I'm going to go ahead and plug that into the main port on the back of the ICU. And we're going to turn on our throttle by pressing the button on the top for a couple of seconds. We should see the ESU logo appear. And then the throttle will boot. Now when the throttle boots, it's going to automatically try to connect to the ICU through the ESU Wi-Fi network signal that it will generate. If for some reason your throttle does not automatically find the ESU Wi-Fi, it's just like an Android phone, so you can go into the settings, tap on Wi-Fi, and choose the ESU Wi-Fi signal manually. If it should ask for a password, the numbers 1 through 9 are the password for the throttle and for the system. Since it did try to go ahead and boot here directly, like it's supposed to do, we'll see the language screen first. The 2 languages that the system can be in is English and German. Since we're in the United States, we're going to keep the default of English. If you don't want to see this box again, press the checkbox for Do Not Ask Again. For now, we're just going to press the Keep. There we go. And you'll see the blue light comes on the ICU, as well as a flashing green light in the center of the ICU box itself. The flashing green light indicates that track power is currently off. All right, so at the Select a Locomotive screen, this is where you would put your ESU equipped locomotive on the track. And we're going to turn on track power by pressing the stop. And the green will come on. And at the bottom, we will see the locomotive automatically registered into the system. And we can tap open, and there it is, automatically on the screen, ready for us to use. Also, the green light in the center on the ICU will go solid, indicating that track power is on. And if we go ahead and turn the knob, it will run. Now by default out of the box, you'll have to hold the knob for about 300 milliseconds at the click, and it will change directions, just like so. You can also change direction by tapping the arrows on the screen. To the right is going to be forward, and to the left is going to be reverse. Now if for some reason you miss tapping the open on the white box at the bottom, or maybe you don't want to actually run the one that you just put on the rails, you can always see it in your loco list by either tapping the plus button or the 3 lines and go into locomotive list, and all your locomotives will be here. You don't have to register them in the system one at a time. You can have several on the track, and they will automatically register and populate into your locomotive list. And when you want to run one, you just tap it and it will appear on the screen. If you have another one that you want to run, of course it will then appear next to this one, and you can swipe between them to then run them separately. We'll get into more of the details and the gray bar that you saw come up as we were running the locomotive, all about the system here in a future video. This one was just a quick start to get you up and running out of the box. And of course, always read the full manual and stay tuned for a future video where we show you how to really get into the system. All right, and we thank you for watching today. As always, visit our website at lokesound.com for more information on the CabControl, as well as our larger system, the ECOS, and all of our decoders, accessory decoders, manuals, sound files, all kinds of great stuff. And if you do run into any issues or have any questions, send us an email at support@lokesound.com. We're always happy to help. And we thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.